I would actually say it's totally appropriate for to art because we have a graphic novel that's what's out right now and it's gotten a lot of popularity. But we're also working on a fashion magazine. It's just a fashion magazine that you're interacting with in a lot different ways. It's passive, but you're like scrolling through Chanel jackets. Is that a passive or an active experience? It actually is active. You're touching it, but you're not necessarily engaged in the same way as you would be in, say, a video game. So I think there is still a semi-passive experience, but much more tactile. And that's what these bring us, is the tactile experience, as opposed to just sitting and then just zoning out. But this isn't a very good zoning out experience.
Yeah, and I'll just add from Miso's perspective, it was actually kind of that 90% of the audience that we ended up building our vision for the Sideshow platform on, because we realized we weren't the ones that were going to create the content. We don't know what we're talking about. We need to empower the fans and the production companies and the storytellers to create those experiences for everyone else. And I think what you mentioned about passive is really interesting. One of the key technology components that we've been working on is that synchronization. So you're not going to sit and watch TV with your tablet like this the whole time, or your phone like this. You're going to get it out, you're going to put it away, you're going to get it out, you're going to put it away. So how do we keep people engaged and aware that there's extra content and extended stories beyond what they're watching? And so this idea of synchronization and pulling people back in through a push notification is, how we're doing that today. You can decide, those of you who have, use Notification Center, you can let those notifications of content pile up, and when we want to put that in the hands of the viewer to control when they want to interact, when they want to go dive in more, and there's always going to be kind of a mix of people who are going to want to interact more, and there's going to be the 90% who want to consume and just enjoy that content.
And our goal from the beginning was to make the experience of a saga feel exactly like a social network. And you can be passive or active in your social network on Facebook. And so we want the experience to be great in both cases, and we think it is with the stories that we've told so far. But I would even take active and passive one step further in sort of this world, in that, I could check in 5 times a day to my social network, you could check in 2 times a week, and if we're getting the same amount of content, one of us is completely underwhelmed and the other one's overwhelmed, right? So we also have, part of our system understands how to actually play the content back at the right pace with the right amount of content for you, depending on how you engage with the system, not depending on how the system wants to push content to you. And so I think that's an important piece of what it takes to tell a great story as well, from a sort of active, passive, make it personalized to each user. It's about how often they check in, it's about how they engage with the characters. If they're sitting back and not talking to the characters, that's okay. They should still get a great experience and still get a great story.
I can speak to Miso. We view our sideshows as similar to creating a blog, or you're creating a fan page on Facebook. So if you're the network and you want to, we actually work with USA as well. They're a great partner, and we do content for Psych and White Collar, among other of their shows. They control that entire experience for the sideshow for Psych by USA Networks. Anyone else in this room can also go create their own sideshow for Psych, and it'll be by your name as the storyteller. And those are 2 different experiences. And we give our users the option to opt in to have either of those experiences. And we just believe we're not gonna, USA can decide what information is appropriate for their sideshow, and we're gonna give that control to the producer if you're a fan for your sideshow. And we're going to let kind of the most popular content will be the sideshow that surfaces to the top. And we believe that the users will be the ones who ultimately decide what's good content. And if the networks aren't creating good content, then the users will let them know.
I've got a question for Dan, actually. Bringing it back to product-based, you actually have a product-based platform that you're exporting an actual downloadable or something that you created. What? It's not a book. That's like my biggest question at reading, because we're moving out of a book.
We're still struggling with it. We originally,
what do we call this new product? Because it's now we have these products that build cross-platform, and when I try to actually tell people about, like, say, TollShare, they do the digital interactive, and you start actually mincing words. So that's the question.
So the closest thing, and it seems a bit too buzzwordy, so I don't quite like it, but it's an experience operating system. It's a way, basically a fully fledged platform in which you can have a passive movie, and when the movie, you swipe to the right, and information about the movie would come out. I actually would be very interested in putting the second screen stuff into that kind of technology into what we're building, because we're just really a very curated experience. But your Twitter feed is built into this magazine we're building, for example. But so you're going to have content that's in there. You can also touch and post things out to your social networks. So there's a little bit interaction outside of the experience. But it can also, because it's built on top of Unity, if somebody makes a game in Unity, we can call that scene and play a full game. Like whether it's, instead of having a magazine about games and having, well, here's a review of it and maybe even a video if it's a website. No, actually, here's the game, and you can play the game and play the first sample. If you like the game, we'll buy the game. So what is that thing? It's not a book. It's not a graphic novel. It's not a magazine. It's something beyond that. And so right now we're calling it an experience operating system. Yeah. If anybody has a better idea.
Have a better idea? Just gonna ask one question and then I'll let you. I actually was interested to start saying it. How do we convert you three? Like, how do you see? You were starting to say that actually you can see the application, but it'd be interesting to me to see what's the Uber conversion platform from this talk.
Well, I think that's Transmedia. So I mean, honestly, if you're a storyteller, you can leverage all three platforms to be able to engage your audience and your fans in three different ways. And so, it really comes down to what you're trying to achieve, I think, as a storyteller. What different kinds of ways do you want to tap into your audience? How can they engage with your characters? But I think, the three technologies we have are three fantastic ways to engage.
I mean, I can see having, we'll take Tron because we didn't work on it. Tron, so I've got my Tron graphic novel and I'm playing my Tron graphic novel, and maybe I'm going through an experience that's on it, and I started to engage with their system, and I'm starting to get texts and SMSs and stuff, and I can actually make decisions on my SMS. Record in the database, I've made some decisions, now my story changes. And then I'm watching a video, and then I can see extra information. So I can actually pull out my iPhone, and it knows that I'm at this point in the experience. Not just at this point in the video, I'm at this point in the experience, and now I can pull out my phone and say, what was the historical concept, whatever, I start looking at that extra information. So there's a lot of places that these technologies can play together.
Yeah. And I'll just add, I think that's the beauty of what we're all calling a platform, is that, when YouTube was first created, nobody in this room could imagine what the most popular content would be. They just created the tools for those users to go and create funny. Rebecca Black had her Friday video, and millions, who would have ever guessed that that's what the most popular content is? So I think what we want to do, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we want to empower you guys and the creativity of the community to have the tools at their disposal to create these stories and to get them out to your audiences. Yep.
Revenue stream. Who's paying for this, and how would you change the relationship between data miners, advertisers, and the media creators?
Can you repeat questions? Sorry.
So let's know what's the revenue streams and how the relationship between the content creators and data miners and advertisers. I think it's a mess of things. I mean, it's not going to get simple. It's going to get more complex. For the example, Operation Ajax. The light version is free. You can upgrade to $7.99. Simple sale. That's what it is. It's a book. A magazine is going to have primed advertisers who are seeing behaviors and knowing more about their users and want to place advertisement. But it's curated. It's more bespoke magazine kind of content. So therefore, you can do acquisition of physical goods within that experience. Or you can have digital experiences of goods so that you can purchase something on your iPad And then when you're on Facebook, you have that virtual good there too. Or when you're on your Fire, you have that virtual good there. So there's going to be a lot of different revenue streams. They're going to all be playing with each other. And there's also going to be, you're going to, all of this, you're going to have to communicate out in all the different social networks. And each one of them is going to bring to it different kinds of audiences, and the content is going to determine how can you monetize that. And a lot of what we're doing is we're saying, here's a bunch of tools for the creators to make content. And we're going to be building in a bunch of tools to help you monetize it, and then probably take it off the top. Right now, we're charging for licensing and support, or revenue shares. We would like to get to a model where we say, here's the tool, everybody can play with it. And like their tool is, I love that model of, here's a tool, go play with it. If you can figure out a way to make money, awesome, and we'll just take a cut.
Is that the business model?
I'm going to simplify.
For us? Well, that's exactly the business model. So, I think, for us, we believe in freemium because it's working, because fans are already spending money that way through social today. So what we do is we take that model that works with social gaming and we apply it to storytelling. So you have sort of the free version that's available with ads and sponsorships and things like that, so that anybody can take your story and enjoy it. If they want the premium experience with the characters because they love them, then the ability to buy virtual goods, to actually sort of upsell that story to make it something different is available to them. And all we do is provide those tools to the storytellers, and then you can decide how you want to monetize your story, whether it's through product placement, or through affiliate links, which we do as well, through the ability to do virtual goods. For us, it's really more about empowering the storyteller, and then I think, as we've said 100 times tonight, we're looking forward to the storytellers being the ones to really drive the innovation in that space.
Yeah, I mean, for me, so it's simple as advertising. I mean, the TV advertising market is $80 billion a year market. Then they're losing eyeballs to the second screen already. And so, we're going to find a way to make advertising work and be appropriate on the second screen. And we're going to let the producers of the content, the ones who are successful, will be able to monetize their content as well. And, in 5 years, we believe that everyone's going to have a second screen. And we believe that there's going to be a whole new job market of second screen producers out there that are going to, just like bloggers emerged and monetize the content they were putting on websites, we believe the same will happen on the second screen.
But I'm just wondering about Gitwood, which I don't understand. I tried it, checking in.
Sure.
To say I'm on, resale platform, I can kind of get a little bit more. And I just logged in, I took the app in. And so I know there's a lot of my friends that are getting junkies are there. And, there's a show that I like. Well, I'll probably start using it. For me, it's that issue of students, how do you get people to keep using it? And then there's another question that I have.
Sure. And I think, we often get compared to GetGlue because around the same time, 2 years ago when we launched, we were known as the Foursquare for TV. And that's also what GetGlue subsequently did as well. We have totally different goals. Like I said, we're talking about providing content and complementary experiences throughout the entire time you're watching. GetGlue is a recommendations engine. So you tell it all the things you like, and it'll spit back recommendations to you. We focus at a very granular level, not only at the episode level, but at the moments that happen in the show. As far as stickiness, I think that there's a lot of ways that we're still working on figuring out how, first of all, we're building a product. We're still working on that. We're researching the content. We haven't, like I said, we haven't figured out what great content is. We're looking to innovate with partners and with fans and networks and brands to come up with that. But we're also looking at how do we integrate this technology naturally into the way you watch TV, whether that be through connecting your device and sending you push